Los Cabos Drumsticks present
Quarter notes.
There we go. All right, cool.
God.
Again, I can't clear my throat. I should probably use this Los Cabos mug. Get some water in me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God. Good start.
Good start. How was your week? How you
2
been?
for 2. I've been great, man. I've been
Uh-huh.
great. I had a great week. Yeah, I don't know what's happened since last week. I started some Fit Drummer stuff. I've started working with some people and it's been going awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been going on.
Yeah.
Been playing some drums, just been living my life. Life's pretty good, man. How about you?
A lot of the same, doing the Monday to Friday, I can't even talk, Monday to Friday stuff. I did another episode of my other podcast with a good friend of yours, which will be coming out soon. So that was a lot of good time.
Nice.
He had a lot of good things to say about you. So yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Um,
Nice. A lot of prompting on your behalf.
oh yeah, I kept having to
Come
just
on,
grill
say
him.
one good thing.
Just come on,
Say
just one
one
thing.
good thing
And
about
he's like,
Rich. Make it up.
he wears black shirts on stage, and that was
He's a guy. He's a guy, and I know him.
And he hits things
cool.
when I want him to. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
actually, no, he actually had
Yeah.
really nice things to say. Yeah, I won't spoil
Oh,
it.
great.
You can watch the show. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I guess we should welcome everybody to the second episode of Quarter
Hey,
Notes. So again, I'm
welcome
Dre.
everyone.
Yeah, I'm Dre, and
I'm still Rich.
he's still Rich. So yeah, we're gonna
I'm Rich. My
are
name's
you?
Rich.
That's nice. Richie Rich. You probably never heard that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I just had to clarify that I'm not. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
I think we can all assume as musicians, none of us are making the dollar bills.
Yeah.
Right.
But you never know. I don't want to make anybody that's rolling in it feel uncomfortable either. So that's why I abandoned that sentence before I finished it. But
yeah. And then I had to
anyway,
go there.
I'm doing just fine. I'm doing good, guys and girls. I'm doing good. So anyway,
yeah. Your
on with the
your video's a little choppy this week.
Oh no.
Yeah, you're kind of coming and going. I mean, I can hear you fine, which is fine. But
that's not good.
Whatever. We'll figure it out.
Good.
I mean, did you guys get hit with that ice storm like we did?
We did get hit with some ice. Yep, we got hit with some ice. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought it was supposed to be like terrible,
mm-hmm.
but it was fine. Did you guys get hit pretty hard?
I mean, there was some closures and stuff. It was just freezing rain, and then it turned into like this weird, almost like white sand. Like it's real heavy to shovel, and when you're driving, it feels like you're driving in dirt.
Ooh.
It was really weird, almost like little ice pellets.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
Cool.
I mean, living in the Maritimes, right?
East Coast lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. You get all 4 seasons in same day.
I know. Yeah, it was +5 or 6 today, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, same. Yeah. I mean, we're pretty close as far as, the jet stream and all that. So we get a lot of the same weather. So this, what we're going to do a little different with the podcast, we're going to have a topic or two every week or every time we do this. Still not sure if we're doing weekly or bi-weekly or how this is all going to roll. So we're just kind of going by, however it comes.
Okay.
So I do want to get into something before we get started with the topics.
Surprise segment.
Surprise. Yeah. Before we get into even that, we have an email, which is lcdquarternotes@gmail.com. That could change, but for now, so if anyone has any comments or questions or anything they want to send to either of us, or just as far as the brand in general, that we can help with, shoot us an email there. And we both have our own social media accounts, so you can find us on the Instagrams and the Facebooks and all that stuff.
What's that email one more time?
lcdquarternotes at gmail.com. And you spell it out. So lcdquarternotes. Haha.
Great. And I'm at Rich Knox Drums on Instagram, for example. And you would be
Dre_SGS.
There you go.
Which is for Six Gun Smoke.
Proper thing.
Yeah.
So email us. Get in touch.
Email. Yeah. So and the two topics we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about cover songs, or just cover gigs, or playing covers.
Yeah.
How we learn the parts, or if we even bother. Yeah. And something that kind of ties in with what you've got going on with the with Fit Drummers and just living wellness and health, and that's the importance of warming up.
Yes.
Which, anyway, we'll get to that.
Were you about to say you don't even warm up? A lot of people don't. Yeah. Hey, but we're here changing that. We're changing it, changing the narrative. Because I'll tell you what, you're a young buck. You can get away with not warming up. But even if you're a young buck and you're playing a lot, and you're playing hard, it catches up with you. Catches up with you.
Yeah.
So it's just
so pre-gig or pre-rehearsal care and post-rehearsal care, I guess, right?
Yeah. Either or.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before we dive into the topic, we talked in the previous episode about the Los Cabos family and how you were all treated like as if we are family, like brothers and sisters and all that. So when we were talking about the East Coast Music Awards, part of my experience with that is because it was in Fredericton, and I got to go visit the factory and meet the people that actually make the sticks, which was another topic we'll get into in another podcast. But when we first found out that we were nominated, right away, anyone that plays the sticks knows who Steph is. She's on the floor. She's testing the sticks. She's quality control. She's everything everywhere in the shop. But as soon as it was announced, like the same day, she sent me a message with, "Are you coming? And do you need a place to crash? Because my place is available. No fee, no nothing. Just come and hang out for the weekend." So we did take her up on that offer for the first night that we were there, because Sean had already booked hotels. But for the first night, we got to stay with her at her house with her dog Ripley, who is the beautiful pit bull. I'm not sure if she's a pure or if she's a mix, but she's the sweetest dog. And I just really can't say enough about how open she was right away. And it wasn't just me, it was the whole band. Like, so Jack and Sean, we all took our little separate corners and got to stay with her. So thanks so much again, Steph. Appreciate it. And I can't wait to see you again.
That's very nice.
So, yeah.
And she got in touch with me after, and she said that's the last time she's ever going to extend an invite to anyone. But anyway, that was very kind of her to have extended that to you and the guys. And we're thinking, we're just, we'd like to thank her.
Thank her for that. Okay. That was good.
That never happened.
Well done. All right. So again, that's just something I wanted to share. So into the first topic.
Very nice.
So first topic being covers. So
playing covers. Learning covers.
Learning. Okay. Because I know prior to us meeting and I was doing a bit of digging on you for my other podcast, and I found out that you were in a big cover band in Ontario called Dwayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
So just talk about the whole cover band thing in general before we dive into the dissecting and all that.
Okay. talk about that cover. I'll just talk about cover bands in general.
Yeah.
My history with cover bands. Yeah. Yes, that's true. I played in a band, Dwayne Gretzky, in Toronto, and that's like such a fun band. Like such a fun band. They probably know like, I don't know, 750 songs now or something, or have played a 700. I shouldn't say no, but like have played them at least once. Because I think by the time I left the band, it was something like over 500 songs that the band had performed live at least one time.
Mm-hmm.
And what's fun about that band is that, well, everybody's so killer, so good at what they do, and everyone um, just does the work, shows up, knows the parts, and knows them. Uh, like some bands, you take like you're kind of, there's like a idea or concept for the band. It's like we're gonna play like Me First and Gimme something. Like we're gonna play songs, popular songs in our punk style.
Mm-hmm.
But like Dwayne Gretzky is more or less, there's a little bit of artistic license, but for the most part, it's pretty bang on the record. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so we're like, of course, a different singer and stuff, but like we're playing the parts. Like the instruments are playing the parts, and like the keyboard player, he's like finding the sounds, and the guitar player is like finding the sounds, and all
Mm-hmm.
like, it's so that was like that was one of the most fun bands I've ever played in, because it was just like so on fire all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody's just there to have a great time. And yeah, like I said, everyone just shows up, knows what the part is, and it's ambitious. They take on uh ambitious set lists
Mm-hmm.
for a bunch of shows and pull them off, and everyone's putting in like, like now that's like everyone's job, I think, that's in that band. Like it does very well, and so this is like there can be their full-time job, unless they have like other bands that they play with, which many of them do. But so they have the time to put in to learn, but
Mm-hmm.
it can
Yeah.
take hours and hours and hours of work a week.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, I think that's like the most fun. Like I said, the most fun band I played in. I played in other cover bands, also fun, but not nearly as fun as that one. But I
Yeah.
started as like, my first like professional gigs were cover gigs.
Yeah.
Um, but I learned a lot. I mean, back in the day, this is kind of what made me think about
Mm-hmm.
this topic, because um, everybody just kind of showed up to the Dwayne Gretzky gig. Like me and four other guys started that band a bunch of years back, and pretty much from day one, everybody was just like on board with like, let's learn the song, learn the part exactly as is, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the goal. And we can rock it up if but like we're not approximating the parts, we're learning them.
Mm-hmm.
And but back when I started, I didn't understand that might be a good thing to do, and like I would get close, but I was a little bit lazy. Kind of, like thought I kind of I know the arrangement, but had I've gone back, if I could go back
Mm-hmm.
to my 17-year-old self, 18-year-old self, and have a word or two, I'd say like, you know, learn the part a little better, but
Right. Right.
yeah,
Um. Yeah. And to to go with that, like when you're learning how to play the instrument, you're
yeah,
not. I mean, very rarely. I've never heard of anybody that in my circles of friends or people that played. They all start in a cover band of some sort, and they're learning other songs, which then allows them to write their own material later on, right? So
yeah,
so the importance of emulating and learning how a song is created, how a drum part for a verse is different than a chorus, and how to get in between, how to transition from one to the other with it, whether be it a drum fill or an
mm,
accent or whatever. And then digging even further, which we'll probably get into, is the whole sticking of, does this fill start on the right, and if it starts on the right, does it end on the left, and why is it done that way, when you're going from one piece of music to the next, and
yeah,
and that's how you learn. That's by doing it,
yeah,
and then it makes sense, and then you can do it when it's called upon, because it then becomes a part of your vocabulary,
hmm,
whether it's a mirrored part or a part that kind of pays homage to one of those heroes of yours, like, you know, as you
Yeah.
progress, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with all that. I agree with all that. I mean, everybody starts with like, not everyone, but like I would say it's, yeah, that's pretty common. Like whether or not you're in a cover band or not, maybe you're just like a drummer that's on your own
Right.
in your basement.
Yeah. In your basement, or yeah,
But
whatever.
like you're putting on your favorite songs and you're probably drumming, trying to drum along to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's awesome. And there's something to be said about just having fun and drumming along. Nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is like, yeah, like you're saying, it's a great way, one of the best ways to learn how to play the drums is just by learning, like we're saying, like taking that extra time to listen really listen to a song, really listen to the part. You might have to listen to it, especially that's the kicker, is when you're the earlier on in your drumming life, the harder it is to like really nail a part, because you're still learning how to listen to drums, and you're still learning, like, by the time, you know, where I'm at now, for example, or like anybody that's been doing this for a longer time, like you start to just be able to identify things so much quicker. You're like, oh, that's like, you know what it is. You're just like, oh, that's like, obviously that's this kind of pattern on the hi. I know how to do that on the hi-hat. I don't have to like teach myself like how to do that on the hi-hat. So we live in a time, I guess, with YouTube, where there's like, you can probably find almost someone playing a live version of something every single song almost. But I don't know, there's something to be said about like just like putting the time in to like do it on your own, with just like in the, you know, in the dark, just like listening just to the song, and you know, going back and
because I remember, you know, back when I was learning, I didn't have, you know, the YouTube and the Instagram, like the videos to see them play the part. So you really had to like listen to, okay, is that like, for instance, because I was, you know, listening to a lot of punk rock and no effects, and the verses for Bob, or I guess you could call them verses. There's no real verse or chorus in the song, but that whole part where he's going around the kit and he comes back and he's hitting the hi-hat and the snare together, and then going back into the fill, you know, going back around the kit, and just putting that together, that was the body movement in order to be able to pull it off. That took me weeks to figure out. And I think I only found out like by a fluke, you know, because I was playing it and I was getting frustrated on the kit, and I just kind of threw my arms back and I was like, oh, wait a minute, he's hitting the hi-hat with his left hand. He's not crossing over, because if he's over here, it's going to be, you know what I mean? So so really listening to the parts, and then being able to develop, you know, the motor skills in order to, you know, to do certain things. And when I practice now, I don't practice, and I'll probably get in trouble, but I don't necessarily sit down with a practice pad and do all my rudiments, which, I mean, I do from time to time, but when I'm really practicing, I'm playing along to other things, whether I'm going to use it or not, just to, you know, parts from drummers that I like, that, you know, what I'm musically attuned to, I'll listen to that and practice along with that, because that's, you know, that's generally on a click, so it's in time, so I'm able to play along with that and improve my timing as well.
It's great. It's a great way to do it.
So okay, so if we go into the whole dissecting of parts, so how do you approach piecing a part together?
Okay, well, I guess,
like, do you figure out the pulse, the you know, what the timing is, and is the song played in quarters or eighths and sixteenths, you know, and then figure out how it goes from there?
I guess, there's like so many things that are going on so quickly, I guess, as I'm computing what's going on. But the first thing I would do is, I would start, I want to find out what the pulse of the song is. So that's, if I'm just like, is it in 4/4? So I'll just like count, you know, that would be the first thing I would do. It's like, is this song, it's likely in 4/4. It's very likely in 4/4 for most of the songs that most of us would be playing.
Unless it's Sting or the Police or something like that.
The rock or prop genre. So it's like, I would count along with that. And then maybe I even have to tap along my hand or something on my thigh or something. And so I want to know where beat 1 is, and like beat 1, 2, 3, 4. So like you were saying, then I might take a listen to like, okay, what's happening where? Okay, if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm pretty confident about that. What's happening where? So where does the bass drum hit, for example? And I'll also just mention that like I wouldn't necessarily listen down to a whole song, especially if I'm like if I'm new to this concept of trying to like learn a song, because you might have been like playing drums, like I'm speaking to people who haven't done this. You might have been playing drums for a while and do a bunch of things, but you've never like really took the time to sit down and like learn something new. And so this might be a new process for you. So I would like I said, listen to the pulse, find out where 1, 2, 3, 4 is, have that, then figure out where maybe start with the bass drum. That's a great place to start. Where's the bass drum landing?
Is it on the one, or is it on the and? Like, is it in between?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah. It's very likely at least on the one. It's not 100%, but like very likely. And then probably some other places. And so you could maybe count along so that you are like counting along to like your 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're just trying to listen to just the bass drum part. That might be pretty tough if you've never just tried to listen to a bass drum part before, but let's say you're pretty good at this and you got that. Then, I could just like pick like, if it's like, oftentimes as well, the groove is going to repeat itself. So like, let's say that the groove is like 1 or 2 bars long, and like you kind of notice like, oh, the drummer keeps doing the same thing over and over again for like this part.
Yeah.
As soon as you learn that, that's good. You're just going to repeat that a bunch. But like, so let's say it's a 1 bar phrase, 2 bar phrase. Let's say it's a 2 bar phrase, and it's like, if it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm listening to the bass drum, dump, 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 dump. So dump, 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 dump. That would be like, okay, so maybe I'm tapping along and I'm going to play that bass drum part, but because I want to listen and really make sure that I get every one of those bass drum hits. Then I'll add the snare in. So now I'm only using 2 limbs. Snare, again, not 100%, but very likely on 2 and 4. And I would almost like, if it's like, again, pop or rock, I'm almost kind of like, that's my default. And then I'm like listening, does it also hit somewhere else? Let's assume for our beat, it doesn't. So boom, boom, dump, 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 dump. Okay, cool. Then I'm listening to like, what else has happened? There's probably a hi-hat or a cymbal part or something. And it's probably either, like you said, a quarter note, as in hitting on 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, or it's 8th notes, 2, 3, or it's 16ths, 1, 2, 3, 4. Which one of those is it? And then I would add that in. So it's kind of like, if you can just add in 1 layer at a time, there's kind of no beat that you're not going to be able to play eventually, because you're isolating it, you're breaking it down into easier and easier chunks. So like, if I can play the bass drum part and I can play the snare drum part on its own, and with a little bit of work, I can probably get the snare drum and the bass drum to both happen together. And then the same with the hi-hat. If I can play the hi-hat part by itself, I can probably add that in with the snare drum and the thing. So that'd be like,
I've never I've always, like, I do okay the bass drum, but I'd always start with the bass drum and the hi-hat together. And then add the snare afterwards. Like, that'd be the third part, as opposed to the hi-hat.
I mean, you could do that too. This is I guess what I'm getting at is you're just breaking it down. That would be my and that's, again, for anybody that's done this all before, it's, you're just like,
they're like, these guys are
toy. But like, but we're speaking to, and maybe you haven't done it like that before, but there's nothing that you can't do if you don't break it down. If you break it down in a small enough, easyable, digestible chunks, you should be able to do anything.
Yeah. See, I'd always start with the verse and then start over, do the verse until I have that nailed. And then I'd listen to the chorus and then nail that. And then I would add all the flavors, like the transitions from the verse to the chorus, like what's the fill that's being used, or is there a fill? And most times, like when you're really listening to a song, you really don't realize how few drum fills there are. Because I guarantee any song that you're going to play along to, you're thinking there's another fill coming, and then it's not there. It's like it's either just a simple crash hit, and most like pop music, I'd say probably, but for punk drumming, it's a lot busier. Rock drumming's a little busier than pop, but not as busy as punk. So that depending on the genre, of what you're doing, because punk
Yeah.
is full of snare rolls and you know yeah, accents on the crashes on the snare instead of the kick, like just different things
Yeah.
like that.
Well, like you say, yeah, if you're really learning a part exactly, and then you pay attention to like where the fills are,
Mhm.
you can learn a thing or two. Like if you learn enough drum parts, let's say you learn 50 to 100 drum parts exactly. That's a pretty good, and a couple of different genres and other all hit songs. Now you have quite a library of like parts that make hit songs
Yeah.
and or have made hit songs in the past. And you might, if you're paying attention to like, yeah, like I said, the transitions,
Hmm.
then you kind of know some transitions that might like have worked in the past.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of things that worked in the past still work,
Hmm.
and or work in a different context. But you're totally right. You're kind of the more music that you can learn and really know and learn, the more, like I think you were alluding to earlier, the more knowledge and vocabulary you have to draw on when you maybe want to make your own part, or if
Hmm.
you're jamming or something, like then you're playing from a place of steeped in the history
Hmm.
of music that you know
You're creating music as opposed to just, hey, look at this really cool thing I can do.
well,
But,
yeah, I guess. I mean, I think either way you could be making music, but you're just making, your decisions might be based on, I don't know. There's not like you only want to do stuff that's old, but
mhm.
there's there's nothing wrong with knowing what's come before.
Yeah, well, yeah,
It
exactly.
might it might be better than what you're doing if you're just like, if you've never ever learned a song before,
Right. Yeah, true
maybe.
that. Um, and okay, so breaking it down to digestible chunks,
Yeah,
and then kind of putting them all together. So working with, well, I guess, pre your project now, like when you were doing with Dwayne Gretzky and having to learn, you know, like hundreds of songs, um, that you need to call upon like right away. Um, and you were talking about, the keyboard player would find the sounds and the drummers would find the sounds. Like when you're playing in a cover band that's, playing to large crowds and big venues like that, where you're able to make a living by playing in a cover band. Um, as far as like your setup and your kit, like are you just dialing in your drum sound, or are you using samples, like to
yeah.
to change certain things for certain songs?
I will say I don't know what they do now. They've been a couple years since I've been in the band,
Hmm.
but I did say like the keyboard finds the sound, the guitar players find the sounds, the drummers, we would kind of find the sounds, but mostly we're just playing the parts. To be
Yeah.
honest, we're like uh we might have been the link in the chain there, that we're not like, maybe there'd be some quick tuning of the snare drum, or like, there's a second snare drum that's like super
Yeah.
high pitched. We'd have a second snare drum or
Mhm.
something, but we didn't ever go triggers. At least
Yeah.
we didn't when I was there.
Mhm.
But as there would be whoever was doing sound could, you know, if the song really called for it, could have, like a bunch of reverb on the whatever, or
Yeah.
gated something or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, we our goal as drummers there was to be play the part as is, and maybe to rock it a bit too,
Mhm.
like at times, even
Mhm.
if it wasn't like, you know bring a live energy to the
Mhm.
song,
Yeah. Yeah.
which probably a lot of the original bands would have done in just like this was their studio version, but when they
Yeah.
played it live, it was a bit rocked up.
Yeah. So myself, when I learn covers, for the most part, I I'll listen to the original, like the studio recording, and I'll get it pretty close. But then for what I do, I listen to the live version and I see
Yeah.
what changes or embellishments, or because usually in some cases, the studio version, and while it's great, um, sometimes it can be rushed, or they hired another drummer that's not part of the band. So then the actual drummer for the band, that's not doing the studio stuff, kind of puts their flair on it, and there's a different energy and a vibe to a live performance. So I would go to that and play closer to that, and then find an in between that, that I can borrow from each. So yeah, that's kind of where I come from with covers, and even like, because I'm doing a cover project now, where it's kind of in the me first and the gimme gimmes vein, where we get the essence of the song, but we're not, playing it exactly, because we're kind of rocking it up. We're putting our spin on things. We're playing different songs that intro into another song, kind of, almost like a DJ would,
Mm-hmm.
so that's another thing that you can do with covers, is have fun with it. That's how I've always approached cover stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool. And if it's like in your face, like that's um what the cut, like it's obvious this is the concept for our band. We're like a punk band and we're playing covers.
Mhm.
That's fun and that's cool. I'm gonna say a controversial statement right here. If you're not, and and you don't know what your cover band is doing, and your cover band is kind of just playing the songs as is, but there's no concept, but you're also not playing the song right.
Mhm.
Um,
You're just being lazy.
you maybe, I don't know, or maybe it's still fun, it's still cool. Maybe do some really cool. You've come up with some cool parts. That's totally cool. But for my 2 cents, if and this is just my view on it and opinion on it. I'd much rather see a band that's like put in, if they don't have a concept, and their concept is to play the covers. I would love to see them like,
Yeah.
a little truer to the record, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Maybe bump a tempo or two up, to make them
Oh,
dance a bit
wow.
more danceable, but not just a blatant not the part kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Because then when you're watching them, and that the part's coming up, and you're anticipating it, and you're like, oh, this is really cool fill, or oh, check out this guitar solo. And then they do something completely
Yeah.
different, but the rest of the song is like verbatim. You're like,
Yeah,
well, what happened there?
for sure. Or it's just not the groove. That's not the groove.
Right. Yeah.
That's a regular old drum beat. What are you
Where's all
doing?
the ghost notes?
Totally. Or where's the bass? Where's the groove that you're supposed
Yeah.
to be playing? Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's my 2 cents, and if that's you, good on you, whatever. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
do your thing. But that's just my.
Yeah. But covers should be fun too, right? So as long as you're up there having fun, and but I guess, to your point, like, if you're making a living at it, then you have to take it somewhat serious. And whilst, I mean, you're still playing music, so you're still having fun. But you know, so um as the drummers, which, we keep the pulse, we keep the energy and the vibe and the groove and all that stuff. Were you kind of acting as a musical director as well? Like, were
No,
you picking like the tempos and the orders and all that stuff, or was that someone else?
I might count the tempo off and stuff, but no, I wasn't musical director. I was
Oh,
just,
okay.
one of the musicians. And I mean, in some ways, I feel as a drummer, sometimes you have the capability of bringing the energy to the night or not. Like you can be a bit of a conductor of sorts, but I didn't pick the songs, or I didn't
Mhm.
like any of that stuff. No, that
Okay.
wasn't me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All right. So that was covers. Did you have anything
that's
else you want
covers.
to add, or do anything before we move on to the next?
All I'll say is that you know you do you, drummer, and but I do think it's a great way to get better at your instrument and to have a deeper amount of fun, because when you really learn those grooves, uh, it sounds a little bit more. You just kind of, the song clicks a little bit better. And
Mhm.
so, if I've come across as snooty, it comes from a place of love, and I want more drummers to, like, you know do the work to figure out why that song was a hit, and it's
Mm.
because, at least in part, because the drums were the way they were.
Oh, well, I mean, look at Kenny Aronoff and Jack and Diane. Like, He made
No,
that
big time.
song with that drum fill, and then that shifting everything by that quarter, like, you know.
Yeah.
But and that's to your point, like if somebody plays that song live in a cover band and they don't nail that part, well, then it doesn't matter what you did the rest of the song. Like everything you did
Yeah.
up before that, which was amazing, is great, but then it doesn't count for anything if what you do at that moment doesn't work. And you can only do that by actually learning the part.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah. And we're
Next.
done. Cool. So yeah, I guess at the top of this, by my reaction to the two words warming up,
Mm.
I'm gonna get in some hot water, I think.
Well, I don't know, man. No judgment. And but like I would just say, uh, I'm a bit biased. I'm a bit biased because I've kind of just naturally always done a big warm up, and then more recently, like, have started like learning about this, the science of warming up and why, like, as in how could you warm up the best and why is it important? And
Mhm.
but really, I think it's just reasons for warming up. If I give a couple, one, it'd be like, by the time you get on the stage, you're already warmed up. So like your first, you sit down and you're already kind of like, how you kind of like get into it after a few songs. Like
Yeah.
if you haven't
Usually the
warmed up, well,
third song is when you're like, okay, now it's
yeah, I
good.
was like, all right, I'm settling in.
Yeah.
But you sit down and you're ready to go, and you're already kind of jacked up, and
Mhm.
you start like running as soon as you get on stage. So
Mhm.
that would be number one. Number two, it gets me in the zone for the show. I'm like, it's part of my ritual to do a warm up. Like prep my body, prep my mind, prep my playing. That would be the trifecta for me of warming up. And then three, just helps. It helps you, gives you a better chance of avoiding getting injured with a
Right.
warm up and a
Yeah.
cool down. Now there's a lot more to it than that. Like,
Mhm.
you also want to make sure that you're playing, relaxed on stage and things like that. But and with good posture and all those things. But also, warming up can help you um, go up with warmed up muscles, so you're not pulling anything. And
Mhm.
if you're also, you go through, like, one thing they say in a gym, quick, like if you're gonna warm up and you're gonna do a bunch of squats, the best way to warm up before you do some really heavy squats is to do some lighter squats.
Right.
Like, and I
Work
mean, there's
work your way up.
other things you can do, but you want to do that movement. By doing that movement, you're prepping those muscles and you're prepping that movement. So
Mhm.
you can do things like that
Yeah.
uh, on off stage, so that when you hit the stage, you're rocking, or in your practice room, even
Yeah.
if you're gonna, because you can go hard in the practice room too.
Yeah. So like where I don't warm up at rehearsal either, which I should start doing that because it's a safer space. But like in a club gig, and I know like for myself, like not a lot of drummers that I see or get to hang out with do any type of warming up. They, it's time to go on stage because they put their drink down and they hit the stage, they do their set, then they come off all sweaty and grab another drink, and then that's it. So there's no warm up, there's no cool down. And a lot of times there's no place to warm up. Like,
Mm,
there's a few venues that have like a backstage kind of like a green room, like where they keep all the kegs for the bar kind of thing. So there's a bit of a spot that you can go and do a quick warm up. Um, but a lot of times there isn't a place to do that other than like out in the venue. And then you don't
right.
want to be the guy that's, shaking your arms out and, flipping the sticks and, hitting the side of a table
You
or the
don't?
bar stool. No.
Okay, like, okay, and that's, I mean, yeah, you're talking about like playing in, if you like playing bar gigs and
Yeah,
and
bar
stuff
gigs and stuff.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah, so if
So
you have a backstage, if you're playing like a venue with backstage or back room or whatever, like you have the space. I hear
mhm,
you. One thing you can do though, there's there's usually a quiet area, or there's like a area that's a little bit more like the staff area ish,
Mhm.
or whatever. Even like we're talking worst case,
Yeah, give some
just
tips on
just
us
worst
folk. Yeah.
worst case. Uh, find a corner like with your band. No one's looking at you and no one cares. Just get in a corner and like literally jump up and down, like just like you're not like gonna you know what I mean? Like just like these little like you're skipping rope, but you're not skipping rope.
Right.
Because even that,
Hmm.
you can even move your arms around. There's like, how do I say it? Like look up on YouTube, look up controlled articular rotations.
Okay.
Controlled articular rotations. Basically what I mean, there's more to it. There's definitely more to it than I'm saying, but you're basically, it's like, for anyone watching the video, it's like, you're putting your neck in a circle. You're like going around the range of a joint. You're isolating one joint and you're moving it around. So like if you think, everybody, if you can, put your wrist out, like your hand out in front of you, and move your wrist as like in a circle, and don't move your forearm, like don't move your
Like this?
elbow. Don't
Like
move your
this?
elbow. Yeah, keep the rest of your arms flat or like straight, and then move that. There you go. That is like one thing. Now Dre's doing it, so he's keeping everything
Yeah. Yeah.
everything locked. For anybody that's you're not seeing this.
My hand's disappearing.
Listen up. I'll try to do it. Here's another one. Great for drummers. Great for drummers. Imagine you're doing a bicep curl. So you have your arm down by your side, and you're just going to move just the elbow joint. So like I said, you're trying to isolate one joint. You're going to move just the elbow joint. So it's like, it's as though I'm at the gym curling a bicep,
Hmm.
doing a bicep curl. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip my wrist all the way to its furthest, like it's like I'm going to put my palm up. Like if you were to put your palm up to the ceiling, keep turning it. Keep turning it so it's like going to your right. If you're using your right hand, keep turning your palm. So now it's going to look like something like this. Like I've just like put my palm up. Now I'm putting it like that. Now I'm just going to go and maintain it as far over as I can, and just move the elbow joint. And then I'm going to flip it back, like put my palm facing the ground, and keep rotating it. It's like I'm turning a doorknob, but the other way. And then
Hmm.
just doing these bicep
Same
curls
thing.
again. Like I'm saying, there's more you can do in a warm up. But like if you do like some wrist circles, warm up your elbow joint, the muscles around your elbow joint.
Hmm.
You can do the same with your shoulder. Those are like just three areas. I'm talking worst case. Like you're in a
Yeah. Yeah.
bar and you don't want to like look too weird.
Because I
But
think a lot of people feel like warming up means I've got to have my sticks and I got to do like my singles, my doubles, and my paradiddles, and then increase the tempo and then slow it down, and that kind of thing.
yeah, well that can be part of it too. Like I think that there's if you have an area you can do something like that, I think that's great to do as well.
Hmm.
I just think that it's we're kind of what we're going to go up on stage and do is somewhat athletic, so we should like treat it as such. If you're going to go up and like sweat your face off and you're going to like really do this physical thing, just think of like what would an athlete do?
Hmm.
They would do some kind of warm up. They might also spend a bit of time, like if I'm back, let's pretend I'm a hockey player. I could do like a bit of like have a puck on the concrete and I'm going back and forth, just like a little bit of stick handling, just like I might do that just to like get in the zone, get my muscles focused on what they're
Hmm.
about to do. So
Right.
in the same way, I would say that it's still valid
Hmm.
uh, to do some like singles or doubles or stuff
Hmm.
like that. Maybe even at a slower tempo, in a weird sticking way that kind of makes you think about it. So like by
Hmm.
the time you get up on stage, you're doing your normal stuff that's like, you got all aced, but
Yeah.
your mind is just that much sharper, and you're
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Because I like,
That's
because
as I said.
because like I said, like warming up isn't just doing the sticking stuff, which I think a lot of people think that that's what they have to do beforehand. but like to your point, just getting the blood pumping and blood flowing so that, your all of the muscles in your arms are getting all that blood so that they don't blow out after the first song. Because I've had that happen where we get on stage completely cold, play the first song, and then all of a sudden I feel like Popeye, like all my
Yeah.
wrists are like just completely like I can't even hold the sticks, because I'm just so. But then it's like count the next song in, and then you're just cavemaning for the second song, hoping
Yeah.
you don't drop anything.
No, for sure. Well, here's a thought on that. One part of it definitely is going up warm.
Mm-hmm.
A second part is taking a minute to get your mind right before you get on stage, and that can be coupled with both your physical warm up, like you're jumping around, and your stick work before you go
Mm-hmm.
on stage, so that if you can keep it in your mind, like, I know I'm on stage, I know I'm really pumped up to play, but I'm still gonna play relaxed. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna like pound. Like, I'm gonna play hard, but I'm not gonna like pound the crap out of my drums,
Mm-hmm.
like more than I would, like usually. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
that can take a moment to kind of, you have to take a step back. You kind of have to like step out of yourself and look and just like say like, okay, nail it, man, nail it. But like,
Mm-hmm.
don't go harder than 100%, like for,
Yeah.
like and then you avoid the Popeye out, because that, I mean, that it's a combination of what's happening there. I think part
Yeah.
of it is like I'm so stoked, and you're
Yeah.
ripping, and then by song 2 you're like, oh god, like I can barely hold onto the stick. Like,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
my forearms are rocks, like they're
Yeah.
rock solid with
Yeah. With blood and
yeah,
yeah.
with blood and whatever. Yeah,
Yeah. And then it
but
takes like,
definitely,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it takes
yeah,
the
it takes
next
a little
couple
bit.
songs to cool down and kind of get that initial adrenaline dump, and then you got to survive for the next 45 minutes to an hour or however long your set is.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, you can, we're going beyond warm-ups now, but like, you can, if this is a thing for you, you can like put that into your practice, or you can kind of like, again, like talking about it like an athlete, you can train like an athlete to,
Mm-hmm.
if you're having a hard time, and you don't have to, be an Olympic athlete, you could just like, but take, just do a bit more than you're doing now if you're having
Yeah.
trouble getting through your set.
Yeah, because I mean, as drummers, I mean, even gigs where like things are mic'd, because like playing in clubs, like nothing's not, usually the kick and the snare will be mic'd, for smaller venues and stuff. um but everybody else, they just crank the volume knob, where we have to like create the volume, to compete with the
Yeah,
other instruments and whatever on the stage. So how being able to control that, being able to play hard and heavy without completely like attacking and killing your muscles. Like there's definitely some control involved, because you don't have to hit the drum with everything you have in order to make it loud. There's different techniques that you can use to create that volume and not have to blow yourself out.
for sure. I
Yeah.
think it's like you're still using force, but you're using it intelligently, and
Yeah.
like, you're not using more than you need to.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are people out there that are really good at teaching this kind of stuff. So, keep your eyes
Yeah.
open.
Yeah. YouTube's a
Yeah,
thing.
YouTube is a thing. Yeah.
um, so so the flip side of warming up would be cooling down. So other than like having a bucket of ice, what are some ways that you could recommend cooling down that you've used?
Cooling down, uh, before the show and after the show, like, get some water for sure. Um, One thing I do, I'm not going to say I can recommend it, because I don't think it's like in my scope of practice to recommend this, but like, I'll have like literally have like a protein shake after a show, because I feel like I've just used all the muscles that I use in a show during
Mhm.
the show. And so I'm going to take advantage and try to, uh, you know, have something, just a little bit of carbs and a little, and have a protein shake after the show. I'm not going to say that that's like a cool down, because it's not, but that's just
No,
something I do. Side
but
note.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah, definitely. I either have some sort of peanut butter or like a Snickers or something with, some higher amount of protein and, not as many sugars or carbs.
yeah. And I would say that, after you've just used all these muscles, and a great way to get the muscles cooled down is to just move them gently, especially how we kind of moved those same muscles to get them jacked up for the show. We
Mhm.
can move them, gently after the show, but you could do a lot of the same movements that we were talking about
Mhm.
before, kind of like, I don't know, think more like Tai Chi vibes or something. You can just like, but you just want to keep moving those muscles too, because that's just going to allow them to keep the blood flowing and flush out any excess, inflammation.
Mhm.
Um,
And you can do it
but
nonchalantly. Like you can, when you're in the bar, you could like wave at somebody and just kind of slowly like lift your arms like, "Hey, thanks for coming to the show." And then
just
do the other
just a
side and
yeah. But again, like, I don't know. I really, it could just be me, but I don't care.
well, yeah.
I don't care what anybody thinks. I was just on stage. I was just rocking, or
Yeah.
I'm just about to get on stage.
Yeah.
People give you I think in general can give you a pass for being a little, you're the drummer, for goodness sakes. You're
Yeah.
about to go up and, like, come on, you're jumping around. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, he's getting ready for the show. Look at that guy, he's getting ready for the show. He's ready to
It's
go.
gonna
Like,
oh, this is gonna kill, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, yeah, like, oh yeah, let's go, boys, let's go. Like, don't, it's fine. And then, like, that's my 2 cents,
Yeah, I
but
was
I
gonna say, or you
understand.
could
I
just not
understand the
care. Yeah.
pressure. I
Yeah.
understand the pressure. But, if you got to go back in the bar, you're behind the merch table, whatever it is. Yeah, stretch it out, just like slowly, like, no one's gonna, like, no one cares. No one
Yeah.
cares. It's not
And you could
like,
be like, "Hey, you go do what I just did for 45 to an hour and, see how you feel the next day without cooling off or, stretching it out."
yeah, see how you like it.
Yeah, you try it. Cool. Awesome. Well, that's good. Those are good tips. Good information. I think we can all relate to that. Um, I definitely do try as I'm getting older to start incorporating more of that and eating differently before and after a show than I would, you know, prior to, like the day before or whatever. Like, um, but that's just living a healthier lifestyle. And I think
Yeah.
as drummer, like anybody should, but as drummers, like you say, we're athletes to a certain degree. Like, we're not
We're
playing
doing
hockey
athletic
or play,
athletic
MMA, but
things.
we're
Yeah.
definitely doing athletic things. Like, there's definitely different types of injury that we suffer through that others that play music don't have to deal with, at least physically,
Yeah, they might
um
have their own stuff, but drummers
yeah,
have their own set of
yeah.
yeah, for sure.
But I mean, we're dropping like probably close to 2,000 or if not more calories, through a set. That's not happening anywhere else on the stage.
Yeah, maybe like, maybe not 2000, that'd be a lot, but
I'm a
you're
soaking
definitely,
sopping mess after a set, so
maybe but yeah, I don't know, 400 or 500 calories, 600 calories, maybe, but like, a lot.
okay,
I
yeah,
agree. I agree.
depending on
Like,
how long. Yeah,
depending on how long the set, for
I'll need
sure,
to work. I'll need to work on my calorie counts.
dude. Yeah, you play like a set. It's like Dre's weight loss program.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
just
Just
like
play a set. Just all you
three
gotta do.
three set 3 sets, and you're 10 pounds down. No, but I
Oh,
agree.
I'll
I
be on the
totally
cover
agree.
of Modern Drummer and Men's Health.
Hey man, yeah, that's a good goal. It's a good goal. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this is gonna go off the rails real quick. All right, cool. So yeah, so that was covers, which are a lot of fun and I think are very important to the development of any musician. But in particular, when you're nailing and breaking down parts, it's really important to focus on what and the choices that were made and why they're played that way. Generally, if it's that way on an album, they've played it hundreds of different ways, and that's the one that worked the best. So, um, I think it is important to learn those parts of music and and play them.
I agree. I don't know why you wouldn't.
Yeah.
It's like a free lesson in
It's a free drum lesson.
how to play it's a free drum
Yeah.
lesson
Yeah.
and how to play a hit song, how to make a
Yeah.
hit song.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, there's YouTube channels, and I'm not going to name names, but there's, educators and stuff online that they make a living off of breaking down drum parts and putting up everything online that you can download and have the whole, I don't know, it's not tablatures, it's not, just the whole everything there, like drumless tracks, and so you can learn the parts as is, exactly to like the minutia of what it is, and people make a living doing that. So that's
Ah,
another thing that you can, if you're learning covers and you want to get into that world, you definitely can.
that's cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah,
I did not know that people did
yeah,
that.
yeah. So anyway, cool. So that's episode 2 of Quarter Notes. I
All
said the
right.
right one this time.
Yeah, nice.
um, so yeah, not sure when the next one will be, but probably in a week or two. And yeah, we'll see you in episode 3.
All right. I'll see everybody in episode 3. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. All right, cool. All right, I'm gonna hit the stop button on that.